Hello, I'm Marianne Hall, and this is the 11th Annual Richford Quilt Show. 11 years ago, this lovely lady, Shirley Jewett, wanted us to do something with quilts. She didn't like gills, so we called ourselves the Loose Threads. And we decided that we would just take quilts that were made from the Richford area. And we had a wonderful quilt show. That's been going on now for 11 years. This is the 11th year. And unfortunately, Shirley, age 86, passed away. And we had her funeral right here last week. So the show must go on, and it did, and it does. And we have this set up for Shirley, a picture of her and a number of the raffle quilts that she made for us, because each year we have a raffle quilt. So I wanted to start here because this is where it started, and here we are. Now, we use the Methodist Church, and it's a very interesting venue for quilts. I think it's absolutely beautiful because when you look at it, the quilts are like waves that go over the pews, and they are multicolored and multifaceted. We always hang a couple in the front, and we just decide the ones we want to hang. The ones that really need to be seen in full are the ones we try to hang up. The other ones that are repetitive, we usually fold up, put over the pews. So, if you would like to begin with, well, where shall we begin? We have a combination of antique quilts and new quilts. As I look around, it's about 50-50. I just had a lady walk through, and she recognized this blue and white one as a drunkard's path. Now, I don't know what that says to you about her, but that was a very popular pattern back in the 30s. There are, and the ones that are old are all hand done. They are all hand stitched and hand quilted. Our town librarian makes beautiful art quilts. That's one of hers. This elephant down here comes from Noreen Hinton, who comes each year to help us. She is sitting now at the back of the sanctuary doing some hand quilting, and she just has the most unusual things that she brings to us, this being a baby elephant, obviously. Not like anything you've ever seen, but really neat. There are many antique quilts. Some of them have names, some of them have many names. Over there is a Lady of the Lake. With the pink, the triangles, the big pink triangles. I have no idea what this is called, but somebody enjoyed red, and that's got starbursts going. Very often you did a repetitive one, like this one, and over there is orange peel, which even though it's very old, the use of the color, that particular quilt maker, makes it look modern. I think that's a very interesting one. Oh, there's one back here you're going to want to see. It has 9 patches and flying geese. This is owned by our Quilt Appraiser, who is downstairs with a table full of quilts. They're all for sale, including this one, but that has the tiniest little pieces, and I personally like scrap quilts, and that is what that was made of, scraps and leftovers. We get people who want to make a statement. This is called tree huggers, and every single picture in here is of a squirrel. She obviously got a fabric that had many pictures of a squirrel, and she just highlighted each of them so that it turned into a really neat quilt. I think it's going to a nephew. That might be a secret. I'm not sure. Okay. The wall hanging over here is another one by Susan Smolinski, and actually each of these bright ones, she loves bright colors, are from Susan as well. They're brand new quilts. This one is an old one. This comes from the islands, as in North and South Hero. Nothing exotic. But this is grandmother's flower garden. And it's quite old, and it's all hand-pieced. I would not have the patience. These two come from Marcia Perry. Albert Perry was our representative a while back, and they both have something to do with Notch, which is our health center. These were on, they had 7 children. Those 2 were summer quilts that she used on their beds in Virginia. So you know they're not very heavy. This is Noreen Hinton, who is a super quilter. The quilt behind her is one that she made, and the wonderful thing is she sits here and shows people how it's done. Well, we can't do it like she does, but she is a hand quilter, and she has the most amazing things that she brings here. And we all get inspired, and we all go home, and we never go any further, but she's super. Okay, this lovely, enormous quilt was made by our quilt appraiser, Sandra Palmer, who's downstairs. She made it for a friend who was changing the colors in her bedroom, and so she made this huge king-size business, and the friend decided that she wasn't going to have a king-size bed. She was going to, so I'm sure Sandra made her something else, because that's Sandra, and she made them twins. Oh, isn't that nice of her? Okay. I would have screamed and given her this anyway. Made her cut it in half. Okay. All right. Actually, I can't think of, they're all beautiful. And some of I'll tell you the story on this one, though. This particular quilt is a Christmas quilt, and it was given to Dora Hurtubise by her daughter. But the story behind it is more interesting than that. Dora had all of this. Did you have it all cut out, Dora?
Just about all the squares cut out, yes.
Dora had just about all the squares cut out, and then Dora had a problem with her eyesight that has progressed, unfortunately, in the wrong direction. And so she couldn't continue with this quilt, and her daughter, unbeknownst to her, took all of the pieces and put it all together and presented it to Dora and her husband as a Christmas gift. So this is very special. Quilts all are, but this is particularly special. Right, Dora? Yes. Okay, thank you. Now, Noreen Hinton, that you were just talking to, she went to a quilt workshop, a quilt retreat, and she went around, because she wastes nothing, she went around and picked up scraps, and she made this adorable quilt from, this adorable quilt from the scraps. Isn't that amazing? All by hand, and all scraps that were on the floor. Back in the 40s and 50s, people bought kits. This particular kit had every state bird. They would do states, they would do state flowers, state birds. This had every state bird, and you could embroider them. And Hattie, who is one of our white glove ladies back there, embroidered these and gave it to somebody to put together. So they put those squares together with blue squares, and so they have an iconic quilt from the 50s. This is just a quilt top, but I made Claudette bring it because it just shows what you can do when you're creative. She loves birds, and she has been collecting bird fabric. She decided to frame it in brown. She had a really neat bird print to go around the corner, but every one of these squares is a different bird. She said, I had all of these things, and she finally figured out how to put them together.